Hello my dears and lovelies, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be going over my top 10, I don't even know if you can see that in the frame, but my top 10 books of 2024. I'm going to be starting at 10 and going all the way up to my favorite book of the year. And before any of you come at me in the comments, this is not like a hard line, the order of my top 10 books, because this was very hard for me to do, and honestly like 2 seconds before this video I switched some books around because I was like second guessing my order of things. So this is I think what my final top 10 are, but the order may be switched of a few of them, but I think this was what I finally rested upon. So let us get into it. Number 10, this stack is very precarious. It's like, this is like the 10th time it's fallen. We have Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. And this book, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It was not my favorite book of the year by any means, but I loved the eeriness and the gothic vibes that Emily Bronte was able to write into the book. It's a very like autumnal book. It's a very like, you read it for the vibes, and the vibes hit every time. So while I wasn't a big fan of all the characters in the story, the characters are honestly very unlikable. Most of the main characters are, but they're so fascinating that you just can't help but read them and read about them, and you have to know how their story ends because they're so fascinating. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this one, and I think I gave this one, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments because it's been a while since I posted that video, but I think it was like a 4 out of 5 stars. But yeah, really good classic to get your hands on if you ever decide to. And sitting at number 9 is actually a poetry novel that I read over the summer that is called Flower Crowns and Fearsome Things by Amanda Lovelace. I love Amanda Lovelace's poetry. She writes the most beautiful things. I love her book so much. And let me just read you one of her poems. It says, "There are days when she wants so badly to escape her life for something simple and carefree, to wake up in a cramped cottage with a tangled and overgrown garden, where she can get drunk on tea among butterflies and fairies. Oh, what a dream that would be. She would never have to see anyone again. Magic still has to exist somewhere, right?" And that just gives you the vibes of this whole book. I love each and every one of her poems. They're so beautiful and whimsical and beautiful. I think I said beautiful twice, but that's okay. You get the idea. So that's number 9. Number 8, we have 84 Charing Cross Road, which is a tiny little thing. But it's a novel consisting of a series of letters. Maybe you can see here. Series of letters from a bookseller and somebody wanting to buy the books from them. And the letters are just so wholesome and so sweet, and they make you giggle, and they make you cry, and they make you laugh, and they make you smile, and all of them are just so sweet. By the end of it, you're just like, you want to give this book a hug. It's just so wholesome, and I loved every second of it, even though it was a very short read. I read it in less than a day. So that is sitting at number 8. I believe I gave that one a 4 out of 5 stars as well. Same thing with the poetry. Now we have a more recent read called Most Wonderful by Georgia Clark. This is a holiday romance of 3 different siblings in their respective romances. And it's very sweet. There are some very bittersweet parts, very wholesome parts. It's got that magical holiday feel, but it also doesn't shy away from it being a novel about real life and real love. And I really enjoyed that about it. So honestly, even though it's like a Christmas romance, I could read it at any time of the year and still enjoy it personally. But I definitely think it'll be one I come back to. If not every year, like a few years down the road, I think it'll be a reread for me. But yeah, this one I give a 5 out of 5 stars. Next we have The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. This one is number 6, right? Yes, 6. I can count, you guys. This is wow. The Honey Witch, and this one was just, when I read the back of it, for some reason I thought it was like a more modern fantasy. I thought it was like the magical realism type thing, and this was not it. It was more like a period piece, like Pride and Prejudice era, with witches and magic and romance, and I eat all of that up. Those are like my 3 favorite things combined. So imagine my surprise when I started reading it and I was like, oh, this is set in a different time era and I am loving it. And so going into that, know that it is set in a different time period. It is not modern fantasy, as some myself might think, but it is very beautiful. I won't read you any pieces of it because I already did it in the video where I read this, but the prose is just so flowy and so whimsical, and you feel like you're there experiencing all the magic with the characters, and it's just so wonderful. And all the details are it feels so finely tuned and finely written, and I just enjoyed every second of this, in addition to the romance. The romance was stunning. But that is number 6. Number 5, we have the one, the only Suzanne Collins in The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And I don't think there's much I need to say about this. It's pretty self-explanatory why this is on the list. It's a villain origin story where you actually start to care for the villain and root for the villain even though you know he's the villain. And if any author can do that, she's an amazing author. So I think I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. And The Honey Witch I gave 5 out of 5 stars, I think. I keep realizing I'm forgetting to give you the star ratings after I talk about it now. I'm sorry. I'm trying to catch myself. I think I've caught myself on all of them. Next, I read Jane Eyre. Well, not next, but number 4 on the list is Jane Eyre. This one I gave a 4 out of 5 stars, I believe. This one was absolutely stunning. I loved the film, so I knew I would love the book. I already loved the story, so going into this I knew I would love it. So there wasn't anything surprising about the story because I had already seen the film, but the way it goes through the trauma of her childhood and the fact that she still tries to be a good person and hold to her morals and hold to her beliefs as an adult even after all she's went through is just absolutely beautiful. Very tragic, very bittersweet, but beautiful all at the same. And I really, really love this one. And 4 out of 5 stars. And yes, I know my ratings are inconsistent as far as 3, 4, 5 out of 5 stars, whatever. They are ranked here by personal enjoyment of them, even if their star ratings are not consistent. And I'm sorry. I've realized that my ratings are very much based on how I feel at the time that I read them, and I'm trying to stay consistent with what I've already told you guys, even if that's not consistent necessarily with how I rank them here. Yeah, so just go with it with me, please, just go with it. Okay, next is The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. I finally read the Once Upon a Broken Heart series this year. It was a very anticipated read for me, and I was expecting to enjoy it very much, so I wanted to wait until all 3 of them were out before I finally picked it up. And I did enjoy it. This one was by far the best out of the series, and I got it signed, you guys. I got it signed. I didn't get it signed, but I bought it signed, and look, and she did it in purple. So much the purple cover, and it's so pretty. But anyways, I know I'm in the minority here, but personally I enjoyed the Caraval series a lot more than I enjoyed the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. That doesn't mean the Once Upon a Broken Heart was not good. It was very fairy tale, very whimsical. I did enjoy it. The plot definitely picks up in the second book, which is The Ballad of Never After, which is why I enjoyed this a lot more. Ends on a cliffhanger. You're like, what heck's gonna happen. You're clinging to hope for your characters, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe what I just read. Yeah, so I loved this one. The first one was kind of like, meh, okay. This one, it starts to pick up, and you're like, okay. And then the third one kind of dropped off again for me. So, not my favorite series that she's written. I personally enjoyed Caraval more because for me, Caraval stayed consistent through the books that I liked. At least when I first read them, they did. Whereas these ones kind of wee. So, but this one I did give a 4 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy the second book, and it is worth a read if you enjoy fairy tales and Stephanie Garber's writing. We're getting down to it, guys. We got 2 more books. 2 more books. And this should come as a surprise to no one. Little Women is on this list because do I need to explain why Little Women, a classic, is on this list? Probably not, but I will anyway. We follow sisters and their each respective love lives, respective careers, respective life choices, and it's just the most beautiful tale of family and sisterhood and love and hope and all of these beautiful things that make up life, and it's told in such a beautiful and uplifting way, even though you will bawl your eyes out. If you don't know the story of Little Women, I won't spoil it for you, but you will bawl your eyes out. However, it is so worth the read. I do want to reread this every year around Christmas time. I think it's just such a beautiful tale for that time to bring such hope for the season, and I enjoyed every second of it. 5 out of 5 stars. And last, but certainly not least, at the #1 spot on my list, and to be fair, these last 2 books I went back and forth many times for which one was actually at the top spot. So these last 2 kind of tied for first place, but what I ended on was Little Women at number 2 and The Girl with Stars in Her Eyes at number 1. I gave this book a full 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved every second of it. It's a literary fiction novel about a girl named Tony who wants to be a producer, but she gets caught up in the drama of filling in as a guitarist for a famous punk band, a punk rock band, I guess. All girls band. They have some issues with their guitarist, so she has to fill in for the guitarist temporarily. And she gets all caught up in the life of being a traveling musician and everything that goes with it. And the big kicker with that is that the band's producer is her ex. So there's some drama, there's music, there's love, there's laughter, there's found family, and it's just a beautiful book. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. I was excited to read it because I was like, a novel about like musicians and like musician life, like sign me up. But I fell in love with the romance, and I fell in love with the found family that she gets, and the like healing with parental relationships that she gets at the end of the book. Like it's a really well written book, and I really enjoyed it. It's definitely going to be one of my top books I've ever read. Like I adored it, and 5 out of 5 stars, and that is my #1 book on this list. So thank you so much for watching. I'm not going to try and pick all these up because I'm sure they were going to fall again. So we're not going to do that. But thank you so much for watching. I'm going to end the video here. Let me know in the comments what your top 10 books of the year are. I would love to compare and see what you ended on. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.